All right, friends, how are you today? Aaron here bringing you your honest astrology for the 2nd of November, 2019. We've got the moon in Capricorn. Right around noon, it's going to be meeting up with Pluto, which is really cool, right? At 20 degrees. Of course, we've got Venus is now moved into Sagittarius, okay? So we're finding our faith. We're enjoying the journey. We're finding the love for the journey. And where is this journey going? It's going with Mercury retrograde, deeper into Scorpio, and uncovering our true nature. We're rediscovering life. We're rediscovering who we are, which is really exciting. We also have the sun down there in Scorpio, okay? And this grand trine that has happened with Venus, with Mercury the past couple of weeks is now being revisited a little bit more each day as the sun is transiting up there in Scorpio. Let's take a look at the chart. All right, so here's our sun, 9, almost 10 degrees today, okay? So we are very close connection with this north node. We are every day, we're getting closer and closer, okay, to this connection with Neptune. And Neptune is all about our expansiveness, right? Expanding our unconscious mind, our dreams, our imagination. No one can tell you to, force you to dream small. No one can force you to think small. They can ask you to be small, but, no one can force you to think and dream small. Okay, so this is really important during this retrograde that the sun is going to be meeting up with, and Mercury is going to also retrograde backward and connect with Neptune again. Okay, that means we have to align our dreams and aligning our thoughts and ourselves in tune with our dreams and our imagination. And then now we see this quintile here, super creative energy between the sun, the moon, and Pluto. Okay, this is saying, like, yeah, we can totally change self. We totally have the ability to do the work. Okay, moon in Capricorn wants to get the work done. Moon in Capricorn says, I'm not going to fight, I'm not going to kick and scream, I'm not going to cry about it, I'm just going to simply get the job done. All right, I'm going to do whatever is needed and whatever is necessary to get to the top of the mountain, period. Okay, and this top of this mountain is about transformation, about self-transformation. Okay, and we have to dig deeper here in our sign of self, right, sun, here in Scorpio, into the underworld. What is going on in our lives? What's going on in our lives that needs the attention, that needs a shift? Okay, whatever that is, we have a huge creative boost today to make that happen. Okay, so this isn't quite the same kite. We're almost there. We have, 4 of the 5 pieces together. But what we do get is the quintile, which is a really fun, creative energy. So it's just like, it's a fun, creative way to change, a fun, creative way to, to look at something differently. It's like, I'll be honest, I had a conversation. It's so funny how these retrogrades work, as I'm sitting here, on leading up to the retrograde, talking about, hey, friends are gonna, people you haven't heard from are gonna reach back out. And it's the truth, like almost instantaneously, ring-a-ding-ding-ding. It's like, oh my goodness, and now we can revisit something under a different light. We can change our perspective on a conversation or see things slightly differently. And I ended up having this conversation with someone yesterday. A friend and I had a falling out. I'll be a little bit vulnerable with you. Being vulnerable is very important during this Mercury retrograde, in Scorpio, Sun in Scorpio. Being vulnerable to that underside of self, our vulnerable underbelly, and not our tough exoskeleton shell. Anyway, so we can have this magical strand of words that changes everything, that shines the light on things, and this is really important, and I'll just share this particular instance that happened with me and a friend, and hope maybe that can aid in whatever growth we're going through out there. We had an instance where we just kind of butted heads and fell apart, Okay, we in two people, we both each individually felt different ways about this topic, and when speaking yesterday, and it was really wonderful. There was no combativeness, but when we're talking, all of a sudden, I said, depending on where people are at in their lives in the time, everybody handles things differently, So in a case where, if you're being ignored, two people are having a conversation, and person A is so distracted by what's going on around him, and person B, feels very under acknowledged, not appreciated, engaging in conversation is person A is distracted by anything. Now, depending on where they're at, person B, this could be something that would just roll off of a shoulder. You know what I mean? This isn't necessarily pertaining to myself and a friend, but just anything. Like, person B might take this so hurtful and wrong, or not wrong, but just so very hurtful by the actions, where normally those actions might not have been so hurtful. Am I coming across this right? Depending on where we're at in our personal space, the actions of another affects us differently, right? So if we're in a sensitive place, and our friend ignores us, or our friend does something, that might be a seemingly everyday common kind of a thing, although it shouldn't be a common kind of a thing like that. Again, one way can be very brushed over and just it happens all the time, and then another is like, well, hey, we're in an energetically sensitive space, and you should be picking up on this. Am I bringing that out right? Is that coming out right? Meaning, where we're at in our lives, things affect us differently. The same sentence, the exact same sentence in the exact same scenario, you might not be bothered by it, at this point in time, but because if you're in a very sensitive place in life, it becomes magnified. It becomes, greater. The weight of whatever that was, it's just almost like intensified. So we can be feeling those things. Or sometimes it's just the understanding of that. Hey, friend, you're fine. Or maybe what you did was rude. Again, I'm not just speaking to myself. I'm just throwing this out there. Maybe what happened was kind of rude. But personally, I was in a sensitive place, and I took it deeply. So just that right there and there, because your friend might be saying, well, what's going on? I don't know. Am I bringing that up? Am I bringing this across right? Basically, if we can have a single strand of words, if we come down to our own vulnerability and say, hey, it was me. Yes, your actions at the time was difficult, but it was me where I was at vibrationally and emotionally that intensified your actions even greater. Yeah. Maybe that makes more sense now, because it's like, well, this would normally be acceptable behavior. If we're engaging in conversation, then you just pick up your phone. That's weird. It's very rude. It happens all the time. I see people do that all the time. It's like a socially normal behavior. Anyway, presence is key. So presence during this growth is extremely key. And seeing things under that different light. That's why I went into this whole spiel, is seeing things under a different light, or our understanding that we are energetically in different spaces and things affect us differently during this time, during these periods. And one day where the exact same thing can hit us and just bounce right off of us, the next time it hits us and we are just, we're devastatedly attacked by something. And during this retrograde cycle, during this time, during this growth of the moon connecting with Pluto, it's important that we try to understand those perspectives. Maybe it was us that said something that was very hurtful to the other. Or maybe it was us that said something which normally is not a big deal. And in this particular case, our friend, our partner, our boss, our coworker was in a sensitive space. Maybe we were just I'm a very sarcastic, joking guy, personally. And sometimes I catch myself, because like, there's an energetic space right now where Tim or Mary or whomever is, more sensitive. So I gotta, tighten the jokes up and, not be so sarcastic or whatnot, So anyway, hopefully that, it's all about shedding light. These next couple of weeks, it's all about shedding light. So anything like this, and I'm being, even that prime example. I'm sitting here thinking, oh, I'm being kind of vulnerable right now, opening up about something. I'm not even sure if this is the right key, if what I'm giving or what I'm talking about is even helpful, So now it's just like the light comes on me. It's like, well, maybe I shouldn't have opened up and said that. But it's just like, this is the point. This is the point of right now. And that's fine. It's like sharing this stuff. It's just sharing stuff with other people, sharing our emotions, our communication, because one thing that we share could click the light on to somebody else, and vice versa. Something somebody else can say can, boom, click the light on us. And it's an emotional release. Okay, dealing with this Mercury retrograde in Scorpio and the Sun in Scorpio creating that grand water trine. This is us learning more about ourselves, learning more about our emotions, and expanding beyond that, where again, this combativeness, well, why were you so, sensitive? Oh, well, it's because of this. Oh, and we have that time to release that nugget, boom, that sentence right there, release. No more fists up. It's, I get it. Embrace, Anyway, so this Saturday, we have the ability to whatever is going on, whatever new information's coming in, we're not overly emotional about it, even if it's emotional stuff. We have a way to look at it logically. We have a way to look at it efficiently and do the work, which is absolutely prime, which is absolutely positive. And necessary. Again, the best way to start off this Mercury retrograde possible would be the moon in Capricorn. So please enjoy this. It's going to shift. We got the moon in Capricorn today. Then it's going to be a couple days in Aquarius. When it goes into Pisces, we're going to really start to feel this retrograde. Things are going to really kick up. So enjoy these couple days of it's like we're the Heisman, where we're like, whatever, Mercury retrograde, I'm coming through, and then it's going to be like splash in the deep end, so we've got a couple days of kind of getting through it, and then we're going to start to really feel it and soak down in, I don't know, this big sauna or something. I'm like looking at this. I'm just looking at this Neptune, Scorpio, Cancer water trine that's happening, and knowing the moon's going to jump into that soon and just be like, a lot of healing and a lot of a beautiful insight coming our way then. So get excited because these next couple of days are fun, sociable way to start this retrograde cycle. So definitely enjoy it. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.